Picture this. You're in the middle of a frightening, barren desert. Just nothing as far as the eye can see. No shelter, no landmarks, just this endless ocean of sand baking under a brutal sun. This is the kind of place where your survival is literally measured in hours. And out here, the two things you absolutely need to live, plants and water, they're just gone. Nowhere to be found. It's an environment that is pushed right to the absolute edge of what can support life. And in the middle of all this emptiness, we meet our guy, a lone traveler. His only companion, his only shot at making it out of there alive, his camel. And this animal, it's not just getting him from point A to point B, it is his entire lifeline. So this whole scene, this is just the beginning of a story that's been told for centuries, and it is incredibly powerful. We're going to break it all down in this explainer. It's called The Parable of the Lost Camel. This story, it really gets at a feeling we've all had. Have you ever felt truly, deeply lost? I don't just mean you took a wrong turn, but that sinking feeling of complete hopelessness. Just try to keep that feeling in your mind as we go through this. All right, so our story kicks off with what seems like a simple journey. But things are about to take a turn, and it becomes a journey straight into despair. To really get what's at stake here, you have to understand that this camel was way more than just transportation. It was basically a moving oasis. Every single bite of food he had, every last drop of water, his entire survival kit was strapped to that animal's back. He's completely exhausted from traveling, just wiped out. And then he spots it, a single tree, the only shade for miles. It must have felt like a miracle, right? A moment of relief. But it's right here that he makes a tiny, simple mistake that's about to change everything. And in that moment of rest, totally spent, he just drifts off. He falls into a deep, deep sleep with no idea what's about to happen next. So he wakes up. Maybe for a split second, he feels rested, but then that feeling just evaporates. He looks around and his camel is gone, just vanished into the desert. I mean, seriously, what can he possibly do now? The brutal reality of his situation just comes crashing down on him. In an instant, his lifeline is gone, and with it goes all his food, all his water, and his only way to get home. He's not just lost anymore, he's stranded. And he is completely, utterly alone. And this right here, this is where our traveler hits rock bottom. It's a moment of pure, unfiltered desperation. So panic just takes over. He starts running wildly, in every direction, shouting into the silence. He's desperately looking for any sign at all, a footprint, anything, but the desert has just wiped the slate clean. There is nothing. And as he's searching, his own body starts to betray him. The thirst becomes this unbearable fire in his throat. Hunger is just gnawing at him. With every second that ticks by, he's getting weaker and weaker. Finally, he's just defeated. He drags himself back to that lone tree, the very spot where he made his fatal mistake. He just collapses, totally convinced that this is it, this is the end. He gives up all hope and just prepares to die. But just when everything seems lost, the story takes a turn that nobody could have seen coming. This part is all about a miraculous return. So as he's lying there under the tree, not with the peace of a tired traveler, but with this heavy, soul-crushing grief of a man who has accepted his own death, exhaustion just takes over one last time, and he falls asleep again. He opens his eyes, probably expecting to see that same empty desert, to feel those same final pangs of thirst, but what he sees instead is just unbelievable. There it is, standing right in front of him, his camel. And get this, his food and water are still strapped to its back, completely untouched. The lifeline he thought was gone forever has just reappeared out of thin air. Now, his reaction to this incredible miracle, this is the absolute core of the parable. He makes what the story calls a mistake forged by joy. He grabs the camel's rope, and he's in this state of just absolute delirious happiness. And he cries out to God, "O Allah, you are my slave and I am your Lord." He says the exact opposite of what he actually means. Not because he's trying to be blasphemous, but because he is so overwhelmed with joy that his words just get totally scrambled. Okay, so why is this story, and specifically this mistake, so important? Well, this is where we get to the story's true meaning. And spoiler alert, It's not really about a lost camel.
The entire story is an analogy for something much, much deeper. The traveler's overwhelming, mind-blowing joy at finding his camel, his means of survival, is meant to help us understand the kind of joy God feels when a person repents and returns to the right path.
And the source of the parable makes this crystal clear. God's joy when someone repents is said to be even greater than the joy that man felt. I mean, think about that for a second. That completely reframes what repentance is. It's not some grim, depressing duty. It's a joyful reunion. So, we'll end with this question for you to think about. That traveler, he was given a second chance at life, right when he had totally accepted death. This parable suggests that repentance offers a kind of spiritual second chance, and it leaves us all wondering, what does a second chance in any part of our lives truly feel like?